Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Freedom TV Podcast. I am your host, Connor Yang. Today we have a special episode. We are bringing on a longtime friend and guest, Zachary Harmon. Please applaud for Mr. Harmon.
Thank you.
Mr. Harmon, how are you doing today?
Good.
That's amazing. That is a sun drop right here. Well, Zachary, before we start today's episode, what can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Well, I am 15 years old. I am an Eagle Scout. I love America.
That is great. We love America on this podcast. And so today's episode, we will be talking about the Bill of Rights. Yeah, the Bill of Rights. So, stupid bugs. These bugs don't like freedom and democracy. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it.
All right.
So, before we get into the Bill of Rights, we need to first understand the debate between the Anti-Federalists and the Federalists. So, the Anti-Federalists did not want the new Constitution because they believed that the central government, especially would threaten the liberties and individual rights of these new people, because as they lived through Great Britain, and they were oppressive and they were taxed upon and they were not given a lot of freedoms. Whilst the Federalists, they did in fact argue that they did need a strong government under the U.S. Constitution to make sure the country was in a stable and unified state. So, with that being said, Zach?
So, why framers chose to include the Bill of Rights in the Constitution? The framers chose to include the Bill of Rights in the Constitution a couple years later because they were designed to win both houses in 1971. Americans were opposed to the new government because they said it was not necessary. And this is what James Madison said: the government can only exert the powers specified by the Constitution. So they were basically saying they were scared of the old government like they had in Great Britain. So this is why they were kind of on the edge about it. So in conclusion, the Bill of Rights was added to the Constitution after trying to appease both parties to create good solution to the present issues.
Amen to that.
Yes, brother.
Yes. Ugh. With that being said, now we're going to learn a little bit about our first 10 amendments in the Bill of Rights. So, our first... That's good. I like that.
Yep. American burp.
Alright, our first amendment. The freedom of speech, religion, press, assembly, and petition. So, essentially, the first amendment is the ability for you to say what you can, preach your own religion. You can say what you'd like in public and in private, and you can do all sorts of things. So, would you like to add anything to that, Zach?
No, this is freedom of speech right here, brother.
Right there. Without freedom of speech, we would not be doing this.
We would not be doing this.
We would not be drinking Sundrop.
Not be drinking cherry lemon Sundrop.
Yeah, that's right. All these bugs. All right. Would you like
The Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. This allows everyday citizens to have firearms in their own possessions.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
Ugh.
So this allows everyday Americans to have guns, because other countries don't allow that. So, but we're Americans and we're better.
Yep. Now moving on to our third amendment, the protection of quartering of troops in private homes. Now, while this amendment is undershadowed by a lot of the other amendments, this was very this was very important in the times of the Revolutionary War, because the British soldiers and American troops would stay in homes and private homes and domiciles, whereas now it's more uncommon, but we have seen this take place in modern times. So essentially what this is saying is that you cannot have any sort of soldiers or troops in private homes, and this just kind of protect the residents of the house.
The Fourth Amendment is protection against unreasonable searches and seizures. So this is basically saying that someone can't come to your house and just walk in. They have to have a warrant to do that. So that was also an issue back then as well as in today's. So now in today's world, with this in place, you need to have a warrant to come into the house or building.
And for those of the viewers who are watching, what is a warrant?
A warrant is basically a piece of paper out by the court, I believe,
the judge.
that allows legally to go into the house.
Moving on to our Fifth Amendment. No one should be held to answer for infamous crimes unless a present jury. So what this essentially states is that you are allowed to not say anything to either get yourself incriminated or, just not to incriminate yourself. So, and this works for if you are being questioned or you're in a criminal proceedings.
The Sixth Amendment is the right to a fair, speedy, and public trial and by impartial jury. This is basically saying that they are legally allowed to give you a judge and that you don't have to have one yourself. You can have one yourself, but they give you a judge to start off with. And speedy, quick, like a NASCAR.
Amen to that. No, we love NASCAR.
No, we love American sport. Sport.
All right. These dang bugs.
They're like the British.
Yeah, these like the British. These stupid bugs.
They're trying to attack us.
To the people viewing, there are these idiotic British bugs here.
They're darn communists.
Yeah. They can't tax Sundrop. The Seventh Amendment is a right to a jury in a civil case. So that basically means that any court case or any civil case, you have the right to a jury, and especially an impartial jury, which means that the jury cannot be biased in any way, and everything is fair. I was still drinking that, but all right, Zach, Eighth Amendment.
Okay. Protection against excessive bail, fines, and cruel and unusual punishment. So this allows for the people not to have weird punishments, because back in the day they would have weird punishments. So nothing crazy for like simple crimes. Like if you steal candy, you don't get sent 20 years in prison. So this is basically what I'm saying, because they want it to be a fair fine for what you did.
Look over there, we have some viewers.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Our Ninth Amendment is the protection of rights not specifically enumerated in the Constitution. So this essentially states that... Actually, I do not know this amendment as well.
So this is basically saying if it's a right in today's world or a right in general that is given to the person. So, basically, rights to your, one of the current events, the rights to your own data. So, like, what they do at the doctor, like that's your personal information, that's your right to have that. So, that's basically what it's saying, and I'll have an example later on in the video of that.
Excellent. And so now to our final 10th Amendment in the Bill of Rights. Powers not delegated to federal governments are rests for state to decide. So it's essentially saying anything that does not have to deal with the federal government is left to the state to decide to do with that. So there will be some examples of that later in the podcast. But would you like to, with that being said, Zach, we are done with the Bill of Rights amendments. Would you like to say anything?
No, 10 amendments.
I drink to that.
Greatest thing in the world. Their second sun dropped there.
Yep.